the Pats are 9-8 and miss the postseason, is Bill Belichick back?
I mean, what's it look like? I would say that's a coin flip, Mike. I mean, he's then 10 wins away from Don Shula. I mean, it really requires, and it's not just Robert Kraft. I mean, think about this. If you're Robert Kraft and you say, we can't do this anymore, if you're Jonathan Kraft, don't you want to step in and say, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to move on from Bill here, 10 wins away, or do we want to just kind of move quietly and peacefully into the next segment of this? Do you want that to be the end of this dynasty, where when Bill goes into the Hall of Fame and you're still around and we go there and he won't talk to you? I think those things enter into it. I'm not saying he deserves that. I'm not saying that the fans are going to love that. But as much saber rattling as gets done, I think that there are going to be other people who would counsel Robert if they went 9-8 and said, okay, we got to get rid of him.
All right, you bring up a great point. There's only so many times you can poke Bill in the ribs. I agree with that. Then on the other side, the soft walking, the fragile tiptoeing around Bill and Don Shula. So the question is, how would you characterize the relationship right now between Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick?
Icy, wary. And it's interesting because I watched them last week at the Devin McCourty retirement ceremony, sitting next to each other, and there was an embrace at the beginning. But when they get a microphone in front of them, they are putting their agendas out there in very specific ways. I mean, the non-committal verbiage around Mac, when you know that Robert is laying at your feet blame for Mac failing last year, is probably the biggest wishbone in all of this. So I think they're wary of each other, and they're kind of peeing on their territory. And the Lamar Jackson thing, too, I think that's another good example of it. Or calling people back to say, hey, just to go on the record, Bill has never wanted for money from me. He's listening to the radio. He's listening to you from 2 to 6 and EEI from 2 to 6. And he's saying, I don't want to hear any more about lighthouses that are being built with the money we're saving by not chasing people, and making that point.
All right, Robbie, let's put these next two things back to back, because I think they play right into each other. Opening odds to win the Super Bowl. All right, you've got the Chiefs, obviously. The Niners, I don't know if that's a surprise or not that they're up so high. Either way, all the iron of the league is up top. And the Patriots, 70-1.
Look at the Jets. The
70-1.
The Jets.
The Jets are 1,400. The Patriots are 7,000-1. All right, now, here are the win totals for 2023 and 2024. The Patriots are at 7.5, by far the lowest in the division. And now I think that this ties in to something that was tweeted out today. And this is from Ari Mirov, all right? He covers the NFL, and he says that the NFL says there's no promise all 32 teams are getting a primetime game. We want to make sure that teams competitively play their way into prime time. NFL Chief Media and Business Officer Brian Rolap said, okay, so this is important to Kraft, being in the spotlight. You know he likes it. The accolades of being at the 100%. Epicenter in the spotlight, all of it, he wants it. It probably had to kill him last year that they got kicked off of national TV. Now you're not even guaranteed to be on primetime even once if you suck. Now, I don't think the Pats are going to be there, Tommy. They're still going to be good enough, and they have enough of really good, opponents. But this is now in question. Robert wants the spotlight, and that's going to factor into his thinking as well. Let me just real quick, they want me to read the poll. The poll question, you can vote along with us by scanning the QR code on the screen or going to the URL below and clicking on the BST icon. Will the Patriots win more or less than 7.5 games next year? It is 60-30 over 7.5. Tommy, what do you think about all that?
You know that I had them winning 14 games last week.
Yeah, exactly.
I do steadfastly believe that they will win. They're going to win 11 games. They're an 11-win team. They are going to be better, and I know that we're going to have to go through the win-loss thing. But to me, they're going to be a better team. But you're exactly right. And it's not at the beginning of the season when it's going to be Bill Belichick and Aaron Rodgers facing off. That's when people will get eyeballs on the Patriots. It's when they're 4-5 or 6-6, and some other team with an electric quarterback is making a run. So that's where I think you don't want to be forgotten. You don't want to become, Jacksonville North would be certainly an overstatement, but you don't want to become a team that becomes forgotten. And I think that there is a danger of that because they don't play an appealing style of football with special teams, defense, and a managing offense, where you're just going to control the clock. So yeah, I would if I was the NFL or a network, say, let's get somebody else out there.
How important is it? How important is it to Kraft to be in a? He's so used to it. He's so used to being in the mix, and we got all the stats from Stacey James about what Kraft's record is as an owner and how many conference championships, blah blah blah. How important is it for him to be in the featured in these primetime games?
That's the bigger point is, and all that, regardless if it's a boring offensive style and it's a star-free offense and it's a defense that doesn't really have anybody who jumps off the page completely, the only draws are Bill Belichick and winning. Those are the only two draws to the New England Patriots right now. So you got Bill, but you better win with Bill, because if Bill's there and you can't win, well, what's the use of having him snort and clear his throat all week?
Okay,
there is none.
Let's do
thank
this.
you, boys.
Yeah, let's do this because it's fun. Robbie, throw it up there. All right, Tom.
There it is.
Are you ready?
Here we go.
Okay. All right, are you ready to do this quickly?
Lord.
Okay, we don't have the opponents, but here we go. Home Buffalo, Josh Allen.
Loss.
Okay, this is going to take too long. You tell me, what's their path to 11 wins? To me, they have to split with the Jets. They have to split with Miami. They can't get swept by those teams. Those have to be splits. You have to win those home games. You've got home games. You have 2 layups at home. You only have 2 layups on the whole schedule, and that's Indy and Washington at home. You've got to sweep those. Then you've got 3 road games that I think are tweeners. I think at Denver, at Vegas, at the Giants, at Pittsburgh. Okay, there's 4 of them. Those are 4 winnable games. You got to win 3 of those 4, Tom. That's your path.
What are we up to now? How many did you get?
I'm not even sure. I'm just telling you.
That's not 11.
You're not beating Pat Mahomes in here. I don't think you're beating Josh Allen and the Bills even once. Jalen Hurts is coming in here. I just think there's a lot of automatic losses on that schedule. You got to win all the tweener games.
You do have to win all the tweener games, and you're going to have to pull some wins that you didn't expect to get, and you can't be a team that is non-competitive. Look, for instance, the Minnesota game last year. Winnable game. But they had no idea when they got down to crunch time how to even get out of their own end zone because they didn't have protection. They had no structure to their offense. Those are the things that Bill O'Brien should improve. You shouldn't have lost by 26 points to the Bears. They did. So they went, those are 2 wins. The Las Vegas game was so absurd, and by the end of the year, it was such a mess offensively. But if you trace back in that game too, lays at the feet of offensive execution with the number of times they burned timeouts. So I don't like playing the game. The Patriots were that close to 11 and whatever last year because they were 11 and because they had the record they did because of the coaching. However, a good coach puts a rocket ship to their entire franchise. We'll never be talking about Bill next year and possibly going. He might be here as the defending Super Bowl champion.
Oh, I'll say that's just ridiculous. All right, I was counting the victories as Felger did it. The split with the Jets. The Jets and the Dolphins, that gave me 2 wins, a couple of layups at home. That gave me 4 wins. 4 games on the road that are tweeners. That's 8. I don't see the path to 11, but you do. So tell me this: if you just said,
what would you guys do? You know what? I never get to turn it on you guys. What?
Hold on. Now, I'm going to ask you this because I just want you to just defend your work. You said 11 wins. They're an 11-win team. You just said nobody jumps off the page defensively. They don't have an offensive star, and they have Bill Belichick's coaching. So how does that get you to 11 based on what you said? How does 11 wins come out of that?
Rash of injuries in the AFC East.
There you go. All right, Tom, what's your question? Come on, turn it on us.
Come on.
What do you got?
My question is, what would you do if Bill Belichick went 9-8?
Oh, I'm done. Yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to let him set the record as the head coach of the Carolina Panthers or whatever, and I'm not going to think twice about it. Tom, I've said this a million times, and I'm going to stand by it. I think they're playing out the string. I think he and Robert are playing out the string together. I keep saying they're on the 17th hole, both of them, and they're just waiting for that big, juicy cocktail in the clubhouse, and that's it. And they're not going to overextend themselves. They don't have any more greatness left in them. The only thing that can save this right now, in the here and now, Tom, is Lamar Jackson. That's it.
Okay.
Other than that, the next 2 years, they're just playing out the string, buddy, and we're watching them in purgatory. That's where we are.
I'm going to answer your question. If they went 5-12, then he's gone. But 9-8 in that scenario?
Oh, no, Robert will keep him. I'm saying I would fire him.
Okay,
I mean, that would be
this is what I would do. If he goes 5-12, yeah, you move on. 9-8, I'd bring in a general manager from outside the Bill Belichick tree, outside the organization, and I'd say focus on coaching. You've lost your way with building this roster, and I would demand we're not going to be in the bottom 10 in spending. We're going to be in the top 5. We're going to spend some money. We're going to upgrade this roster.
It's not just it's the organization.
Well,
someone's got to come in and fumigate the organization. Okay, Tommy, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Joe Judge.
Sorry, that's it.
You're
We're
welcome.
done.